Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Priyanka, and I'm a senior sales consultant with Project Solutions. Project Solutions is a cloud-based email security offering providing mail domain spoof protection, security awareness, reporting, and simulated phishing drills. Our flagship product is ProDMark, which is recognized as Asia's first and largest DMARC analytics platform. We have also got some fantastic reviews in terms of the Gartner Peer Insight review ratings. And we have been protecting more than 500 plus prominent brands over the past 5 years across industry sectors. Moving on next to a brief introduction about today's panelists who will help us demystify the nuances of the Cyber Jagrukta Divas governmental directives and share their experiences and recommendations. So we have with us Mr. Shankar Ramrakhiani, who is Chief Information Security Officer and Head Business Continuity at IIFL. Mr. Nagraj Solkar, Chief Information Security Officer at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company Limited. Mr. Balwant Singh, Chief Information Security Officer at DS Group. Mr. Bhavin Bansali, CEO at Project Solutions. Mr. Anish Pandey, Chief Information Officer and DPO at Milestone Technologies, and Mr. Anand Agarwal, Chief Information Officer at Acre India. Thank you all for taking out the time for today's webinar. So a few pointers before I invite Bhavin to start this discussion. We will be running a poll during the session. So I request all of you to please share your inputs on the poll, which will be on the left side of your screen. Please feel free to post your queries, questions in the Q&A section during the webinar, and we will have the same answered by our panelists during the webinar or towards the end of the webinar. Another point that I would like to highlight here, we will also have a lucky draw towards the end of the webinar. So requesting all the participants to stay tuned to win exciting prizes. Let me now invite our CEO, Mr. Bhavin Bansali, to initiate the discussion. Over to you, Bhavin.
Thank you, Priyanka, for the introduction. On behalf of Project and all the attendees, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to all our eminent panelists. Thank you, panelists, for sparing your valuable time and joining us today. It means a lot. Just to set the context, Ministry of Home Affairs issued a circular on March 30th, 2022 to all the secretaries of governmental ministries, mentioning that they should observe a Cyber Jagrukta Divas on first Wednesday of the month from April 2022. The expectation from the government, obviously, I think, was to generate sustained awareness amongst public, especially in the vulnerable sections and groups from a cyber hygiene perspective. Considering the wealth of knowledge and experience that the panelists have here, it would be a criminal offense for me to delay this any further. So let's just jump straight into the topic. I think we've got another half an hour to go, and we've got some amazing panelists here. I'm so excited. So let's get on with the discussion. So once again, a very warm welcome to everyone. I do not have a very specific question for each one of you, but I hope it becomes more of a panel discussion. I'll throw open a few thoughts which I have, and then let's all deliberate on that. So let's start let me start by seeking view of the panel that the Cyber Jagrukta Divas circular, which has been issued by the government, what do you think would have triggered something like this? Do we have a serious problem at hand, or it is not such a big deal? What do you think? What was the impetus of the government issuing such a kind of circular, and what are your thoughts? So, please feel free. Anyone could go on. Shankar, Shankar, I think you are on mute. If you would like to unmute yourself, please.
No, I'm able to hear you. You are able to hear me now?
Shankar, I'm still not able to hear you. I'm not sure if that is the case for the others.
We can hear Shankar, right? So
You are audible, Bhagat.
Okay, go ahead, Shankar. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think good morning everyone, and I think it's a really great discussion today on the cyber awareness, right? So Bhavin, to answer your question, I think it is a really a great initiative, okay, which has been put in by the government of India, right? Cyber awareness is the need of the hour, okay, for every individual, right? Be it corporate, be it personal level, right? With the digital penetration we have seen, okay, in Indian sector, right, or Indian organization in last few years, right? A lot of people are using smartphones, apps, data all the time, right? So the amount of digital penetration or in the exposure we have, I think it is really must to have a strong awareness amongst our the Indian population, be it at any grade or at any age, right? A lot of attacks we have seen, especially social engineering, where fraudsters try to hack people more than the systems, right? They try to trap you in a confidence, and they take your money. So I think it's a very great initiative, and it's actually become a law for many organization. RBI follows the same, SEBI follows the same. And security, you cannot win the race with the process and technology. People awareness is must, and and not at at every level, at every element. So as an individual, you should be aware, what are the OTP frauds, what are the net banking frauds, okay, how you should secure your password, how should you secure your 2FA, and you need to be aware at every stage, when you actually deal with a lot of transactions, right? Gone are the days when we were only limited to the PC or laptop at home or office. Today we have the entire apps with us, and at a matter of click I can do many things. So cyber awareness is a very important step. It is the first element to combat against the cyber attacks. Attackers have become very smart. They are ahead of us, okay, all the time. That is why it is very important for all of us to be vigilant, to know, okay, what kind of frauds can happen. And awareness should be a continuous exercise, right? It is not one thing you do it at the today and you forget, right? Because the amount of attacks have been changed, the pattern have been changed. You never know what kind of attack you will face. There was time only password attacks used to happen. Now even the attacks can happen using the QR code, the fraud, even the OTPs are coming, right? So it's a great initiative. It is must for the organization, and we as a security head of the organization, it's become a moral responsibility for all of us, okay, to do this awareness on regular basis on the latest threats and issues that people face, right? So treat this regulation not only as a professional perspective. You go ahead and educate your family and friends over WhatsApp. A lot of frauds happen, especially on the BFSS sector and the sectors where the digital transactions are happening, as well as social networking. So great initiative, and I think we will continue to enhance this over the period, and awareness will also play a key role, okay, in enhancing the security posture of the organization. So I think heads to the government, we're coming up this initiative, and I'm sure, okay, this will surely take a next level in the coming months. That's primarily my feedback. Thank you.
thanks.
I think I would want to add.
Go ahead.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Can I?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
hi. Thanks, Bhavin, and good morning to everyone over here, the panelists. And so I really agree, and I second Shankar on his very well said part that people are getting hacked, and there is a say that the amateur hack the system and the professional hack the people, right? So that's the one. And second point, what was very well covered was go and educate the family members. So these all are something which are hidden objectives of maybe government initiative on this. And maybe to answer Bhavin, whether this is going to be a challenge area, so I'll come to that. This is actually a long time wait for the security professionals and CISOs, who were always struggling to bring the awareness program front. So though they were able to do a lot of other projects, security projects in the organization, which usually are the IT security projects or the cyber security projects, but the awareness was always the challenge. Maybe that requires a lot of creative knowledge, creative thinking, creative approach, right? Those all are the other challenges where CISOs and deputy CISOs face in the organization to do that. I see this as an opportunity given to the CISOs now, and now it has broken the barrier in thinking of security by defining only the scope, which is very relevant to the office IT security. Now it is not to be thought only how to secure my data, my office data, my organization data, or my employees. Going beyond here, not necessary to scope very limited to the organization. Go beyond that and care about your employees when they are actually out of office, which already started when there is work from anywhere. The concept started. Care about the network and security when employees are working from outside office. I didn't mean that. So I meant that when they are literally out of office and when they are not even connected to office network, not working for office, care about them. The reason now cyber security is not the term, cyber safety is the new term, that the language and the thought process also to be changed. And don't limit to the technology which is inside office. Bring in all the technologies. That's what the new guideline comes. Talk about the ATM security, banking security, OT, IoT. Some or other way, every individual today, when we come out of our home or go out of our office, we are getting directly or indirectly associated with the one or other technologies. There is nothing that without an cyber security or a technology that we live in today, wherever we go outside our home or inside our home. So this has also created a social responsibility in the realm of cyber security, both for the organization and even for the security professionals like you and me over here. It is not only limited to the regulated organizations, including to the people who are associated, the companies who are associated with the regulated companies. But my one question I had within myself was: is it only a reach to the regulated companies, or non-regulated companies are also coming into the picture? Is something which I absolutely don't get an answer today. But overall, this is an opportunity, I would say. I wouldn't say this is a challenge for the CISOs or to the cybersecurity professionals.
Very well put up, Shankar and Nagaraj. This sets the context of the entire webinar very well. Anish, you were saying something. Did you have some views to share?
Yeah, I think yes, good point from Nagaraj as well, right? So now I can wear multiple hats. I can wear the hat of a CISO, I can wear the hat of a government, I can wear the hat of a normal citizen, right? Now, the way I see it, Bhavin, right, is more of how we are kind of. I think I'll have to go and mute. Yep. So how we are progressing as a country. If you see Digital India campaign, if you see our internet penetration in 2007 was 7%, now it's close to 60%. See the government schemes which are coming up, more related to digitalization, right? And see how many things, right, how the internet has penetrated across the country, right? So it was important, right? It was needed, long due, where a lot of things that we as a citizen do, right, we use internet for that, right? So having knowledge of what's the right thing to do, what are the do's and don'ts, I think that is helpful. And this thing is, I think, will give an impetus to overall thing. If you see National Cybercrime Reporting Portal, 60% of the things which comes is on the online fraud, right? The number of frauds from the online channel has increased a lot, right? So government is also seeing, government is a vision of a digital India. They understand the importance, right? And so I think it's the right and apt time where we can just push that agenda across all the forms, across all the citizens as well, right? That was what I was going to tell.
Thanks, Anish. Very well put up. In fact, the next question which I wanted to pose to the panel here, somehow, Nagaraj, you broached that point already, that do you think this particular circular which the government has issued is only for the organizations where the regulated entities have kind of issued a subsequent circular, like, RBI has done it, IRDAI has done it, SEBI has done it. What about the other industries? In fact, Balwant, who is there with us, he's from the DS group. and he comes from a manufacturing kind of a background. So Balwant, I would like to seek your view to start with on that particular aspect. That is this circular only relevant to the ones where the regulators are more active? Obviously, where BFSI has been a sector where the regulators are very, very active. But how would you perceive this circular? Yeah, and obviously, I would request the others to share their point of view as well after Balwant speaks. So, Balwant, over to you. What do you think about this?
Yeah, thank you, Bhavin, for having me here. It's an absolute privilege to be here, and good morning, everyone. Yes, the first thing is that yes, the government has come up with this directive, and this is very, very informative. And it is said that it's never too late to start something new or to take an initiative. So when we talk about limited to regulated entities, cyber crimes and awareness programs are not limited to regulated entities. It must, like, we are using technologies like AI, ML, blockchain, OTs in manufacturing companies. These are being used by different sectors like BFSI, manufacturing, retail, education, healthcare, and more. So cyber awareness practice shall be seriously adapted by the organizations, including government agencies, corporate bodies, under various projects and under CSR activities. And I believe cyber awareness is a kind of right for every Indian, irrespective of where or he or she works and at what position. So this is not limited to regulated entities. It must be covered by every organization.
Absolutely. In fact, Anand sir, what is your view? I know you come from a kind of an NBFC kind of a background, but but your industry is slightly different than the other financial institutes. So what is your take on this?
So I think, Bhavin, while the regulation may have to be enforced upon, I would rather use the word enforced upon by on the regulated entities. I mean, whether it is by the RBI, IRDAI, because it is easy to manage and get the reporting done. But I think, if we are into a business, can we do a business without a mobile phone today? I don't think so. If we cannot do a business without a mobile phone, without an internet, then I think we all are prone to cyber risks, basically. Now, these guidelines help us in terms of creating an awareness and what we can do to protect ourselves, our organization, from the security risk. And I'll give you a very small example of a non-regulated entity and of an MSME kind of company, as a known company. He got a mail from somebody impersonating as one of his suppliers, saying that instead of transferring money to this account, now please transfer money to another account. Now everything was perfectly fine. The owner of the organization was not. He was a computer savvy, but he doesn't have a very high-tech technological equipment available within himself to be able to protect his organization. Luckily to his safeguard, he called up that owner and said, "Did you ask this thing?" He said, "No, I never asked." And that is how he came to know. So it is not a regulated entity. It is not a large organization, but it is happening. Now, let's take a recent, I don't know how many of you have observed, but in the last 60 days or so, I have seen umpty number of messages coming on WhatsApp to me. They are saying my WhatsApp is hacked. Please be aware. My WhatsApp, please be aware. I mean, who has thought that WhatsApp can also be hacked? I mean, you have to give a security code, you have to do a lot of validation, and still WhatsApp is hacked. Now, I mean, the organizations or a regulator can go up to a particular point. Beyond that, it is the individual responsibility only. It is your and my responsibility. It is not only a CISO responsibility or a CIO or a regulator responsibility. We just cannot, gone are those days. We can just say, "About this was your responsibility, you did." But I think it is ours. But it is impacting my WhatsApp. It is impacting my financial transaction. So from that perspective, I think it is the, I mean, irrespective whether it is regulated or non-regulated entity, I think everybody is equally responsible. It is equally applicable to all. And it is always said in the security arena that the biggest or the weakest link is the human being. So I think it is applicable to all of us, and it could not have been a better timing than from the government coming a push that we all need to be aware of, and all these things need to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Balwant. Thank you, Anandji. Very valid views. Any other panel members who would like to share their views about this?
Yeah, I think both Anand and Balwant said the right thing, right? Information security or cyber, it's not only limited to the regular entities, right? Every organization stores a lot of PI information, right? All the organizations have a payment gateways. So the push or the restriction should not be the regulated entities, right? However, regulated entities are the one who starts. However, as an an Indian citizen or organization who are very well under the Indian IT Act or the relevant privacy laws, okay, must follow this. And awareness should be always an ongoing exercise. You need to keep up with the latest threats, and primarily with the way, as Mr. Anand said, right, a lot of email messages or communications are being done by the fraudsters. The email actually or the SMS looks like it's a genuine one, right? So you need to also, as an individual, need to upskill yourself, and security is an everyone's responsibility. He rightly said it is not only CISO or CIO or the regulatory that we are doing enough for you and you have to be just you don't need anything from your side, right? So action is very much needed for everyone. They have to be vigilant. Just like how you are securing your money all the time, you are ensuring that, whatever money I have, it's safe. Similarly, you need to ensure that your PII information or the information or any kind of your, important, asset, you need to secure, with the same manner. So it's very much needed for every organization, everyone, be it any sector. I think cyber awareness it's must, and it should be forced by the regulator. If not the regulator, organization should take that step. I mean, that's primarily my feedback. Yeah.
So true, Shankar. Makes a lot of sense. So unless any other panel members have a view on this, I would like to move forward to the next area of deliberation. I guess I can move forward. So the next thing which I wanted to broach up is, assuming there are certain sections in the circular, right? Because it's a directive which is obviously supposed to cover all ministries and all the regulated entities and non-regulated entities across sectors, right? I think we all agree that it is something which has to be done as a country, as each individual, each corporate employee, even if it's a student or a housewife, they all have to do their bit, to make sure that we have the right kind of cyber hygiene in the country. So what do you do with certain elements of the circular which are not applicable for a particular industry or a particular set of individuals or the organization? How do you disregard them, or you feel that they would still be relevant? Because from a employee perspective, I am a citizen first and then I'm an employee. So from a risk perspective, I have a double whammy. I have responsibility towards my own self, my own family, as well as the organization and the country at that extent. So what is your take on this? How do you manage areas which are not really applicable to a given organization? Balwant, I think you raise your hand.
Yeah. So Bhavin, see, I'm carrying this circular with me, and it's a detailed circular. What I suppose is that I have gone through the circular, and of course it covers almost all topics which an organization is supposed to follow or to be included in their security programs, irrespective in what business they are. You can't limit cyber security to any particular business, because when it comes to cyber security awareness, we can't set boundaries, or we can't can't have options or optional topics. So your security programs must cover your organization's interest as well as your employees, your customers' interest as well. So I believe this is how awareness culture can be established in an organization and in the country.
So I can second this gentleman on this. Maybe to answer you, Bhavin, what is not applicable, what can be rejected. I think these two words can be avoided. So from my side, so I would rather add this as what can be prioritized now and what can be prioritized later. So what is everything is applicable. As there is again a say that when is someone secure, so the answer can be with another question, either you are already hacked or you are yet to be hacked, right? So there's only a two state in a person when it comes to the cyber security part of it. Similarly, the topics which are prescribed by the government of India is to the extent what comes to their knowledge, because there would be a committee that would have formed all these kind of topics, but it is not limited to. And always the technology keeps coming, the new method of using the technology or the bringing the features or the people, right, adoption of it, this all keeps changing the attack surface, right? So again, what can be prioritized as of now and what can be done later. That is the reason I would I see this another statement from the guideline is share the annual program calendar with your regulator. That is the ask on this thing, which means that how we are going to cover everything. So that is the hidden ask of it. So we should cover it. How we are going to cover, we can prioritize on something and we can think about how we are going to do that, right? So the awareness is again a biggest challenge area, because if it is a very dry area that as of now we all panelists of talking here may not be the area of interest for some of the people who are outside, not connected here. That's the reason they are not connected. Similarly, the awareness is also a dry subject that not everyone's interest over to attend it. So how are we going to make it more interesting? How are we going to make that message reach to the people based on that, and what is immediate to be done, what can be priorities that can be done, but everything is applicable. I think nothing can be rejected.
So, Bhavin, I just want to add on to it. I think security is now everybody. I mean, you can't escape. I mean, there's no that's to take. And as is rightly said, question is not that whether you are. The question is that when is my number going to come in terms of hacking? The targets are. This is so. I mean, these are now targeted attacks. So when I'm in the queue, I mean, probably that is when I mean, there's up to a time when I can say, yeah, I'm safe. I mean, so nobody's safe in this world today. That is point number one. But point number two is that I think we also need to be conscious of the fact that what is applicable to me in my industry, in my organization perspective. What is necessary? See, let's take an example. If all the applications are internally faced, which means that I'm not exposing anything on the internet, and the security controls that I need to build in would be very different from the organization where the applications are exposed outside, where employees are coming from outside. So I think so that is one thing which I wanted to say. So we have to have a balance. So regulator is saying you have to have all these things, but we have to have a balance. And as rightly said, we need to prioritize what we need to do first, what we need to do second. Overdoing of anything would also, at the end of it, it is easy to put a technology. But what is extremely difficult is to be able to get an insightful alert from that technology. I mean, that requires huge amount of manpower, human time and effort and money on this. So do we have those resources also to do that? I think somewhere we have to have a balance of all this. Is what my take.
And just to add to what,
please, Anish, go ahead.
Just to add to what Anand said, right? So what's there in it for me, right? So now cyber jagrukta that we keep on telling, right? Cyber awareness, right? We have to think from everyone's lenses, right? A business may not be so tech savvy person, a common citizen who is not a tech savvy person. So a lot of our awareness material needs to be revamped to kind of cater to a global, or I'll say a global audience, which is kind of to a person who is not tech savvy, who is kind of manufacturing. So it should be kind of tailor made, right? It cannot be like one communication to all. So that is also important. What kind of audience you are kind of going to, and how are they kind of understanding your message, right, which is coming up, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
thanks,
So,
Anish, for
I'm sorry, adding to Anish, rightly said that, in manufacturing companies, if you see, people are not that much aware about technologies, about, security, about, technical assets. So when it comes to, make people aware in manufacturing companies, it's very important and very vital part. It becomes very vital or very important part of business to ensure that our people are, aware about emerging threats. Like if I say about phishing attacks or smishing attacks, so they are not aware about these things. I mean, especially in manufacturing companies, and that's why we do kind of, phishing simulation tests to make them aware about these sophisticated tools and technologies and emerging threats. So over to you, Bhavin.
Thanks, Balwant. Yeah, I completely agree. It's a very, very different dynamic when it comes to non-BFSI kind of organizations, and it can be a challenge in itself. I completely agree. So, moving on, I'm sure the attendees want to know more about how does your action plan look like in your organizations, or what would you propose to be an action plan? In fact, I read the IRDAI directive basis the CJD circular which had come out. It mentioned that there has to be an annual plan which had to be submitted to them by September 30th, right? So they took one step forward that, while these are the expectations which the Ministry of Home Affairs has, there's a specific requirement which we as regulators have. We want to know what exactly you plan to propose. What is the action plan that you would want to create for your organization? So I would like to hear more about, typically how does the action plan look like? Because it has to be quite encompassing. It has to cover your employees, your third parties, your customers, and it's not just a CISO who can do it, right? It has to be the business group, other stakeholders who have to come together. So how do you go about creating an action plan which is quite good and it is encompassing the requirements which the regulator has or the government has? Nagraj, you like to go first?
Thank you, Bhavin. So it's a very, very, very valid question because theory stays for a long time, but making it to an actionable is not an easy task, right? So I'll share my views, and obviously everyone will be able to add or will make more changes to it. So my views of making this as an actionable, I don't delay on it. My first step is I don't delay on it. I will start from wherever I can. So that actually keeps things moving rather than thinking of where to start and how to start. So this already it is not something that new we are doing on the awareness. So we must be doing it already in every organization with the different topics, different names, different maybe messages, but we need to see that what is relevant to the existing topic that already we have been doing it, and bring it back to these topics and map it and continue to do it, so that at least doesn't stop or delay on starting this project. One. Second, obviously everyone knows about the different communication channels. One is emailer, posters, wallpapers, and maybe quick links that which goes to them, which is a 3-minute video, and what is relevant to the topic. Create a quiz program, right? So obviously this requires little of a platform support. Some companies may have it, may not have it, and there are organizations who help these companies coming with a platform and other things, so that the CISOs and the organizations can evaluate on this, and maybe a regular review of what we are doing. With regular review, what are these reviews is, one is the checking the effectiveness of what we are doing, and second is how much we have covered and what is to be covered for next 3 months. And third is that what are the improvement areas from the learning of the initial the activities what we perform for, say, first 1 month or first 3 months. Those things will help creating an effective actionable on driving this Jagrukta annual program.
Thank you so much, Nagaraj, for sharing the plan of action, which which our viewers could actually look at having. Shankar, you've been managing kind of a conglomerate. IFL has so many group companies and so much of diverse business, including health tech is what the latest entrance is for IFL. So what is your take, and how would your action plan look like?
So thanks, Bhavin. So I think Nagaraj also said very valid things, right? Important the awareness. So awareness was always an important element, right, in our organization, because we are tightly regulated by SEBI for our broking business, RBI for NBFC, HFC for and RBI for housing finance, and the other exchanges, NSE, BSE, being in the broking industry, they were regularly following with up what all we are doing from the awareness perspective. So awareness was an important element for our organization. We used to do weekly awareness over email, as well as on our workplace, which is the intranet community for all the entire organization on various latest threats. But based on the circular, we also identified that there are two sets of users here, right? One is your normal users, other is your technology users. And being in the largely most of the 80% of the development happening in house, right? So we thought to more make more awareness for our developers developing the applications, right? So based on the circular, we initiated specific emailers for our development team on secure coding guidelines, because the Cyber Jagrukta circular also mentioned you need to not limit yourself on the password security or email security. You need to cover each and every element. So as an action plan, we are doing a regular awareness for our developers. We also come up with a quiz program, as Nagaraj said, right? So we are checking the awareness level of the users, and email phishing, email simulations exercise. We used to do this, okay, or we are still doing this since last many years to ensure users are able to identify whether the email is legitimate or no. So awareness was a very important element, important control, being in the large organization where technology cannot reach at every layer. So we are doing this. However, after this circular, we are more maturing, and as he rightly said, that effectiveness has to be measured. So we are also reviewing, okay, what are the important small incidents in case the user is facing, or anything happened due to the user negligence. So as an action plan, we have published a calendar for the entire organization on what all we will be doing it. And more than that, now we need to train users. We also shared couple of important presentations for our board, because the board members also need to be aware, right? Because after that, security has to be top-down approach, right? You secure your users, but if you do not secure your top management, or you do not make you aware, then the bigger things can happen. So this is primarily we are all doing as an organization, and I'm sure with support from each one of them, I think we will reach to a good state, and we will sustain this important control point from the security hygiene perspective. Bhavin. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Shankar, for your views. I'm looking at the Q&A section of our portal, and I'm seeing some interesting questions. I would like to take up one question which is relevant to what we're discussing right now. It's from Sunil Kulkarni. It says, though this is a good initiative, however, approach is not clear, and it's open to organizations to choose options. I guess this is about the circular which is being mentioned. Also, mandate process wherein organizations monitor and report on regular intervals to improve efficiency of entire program. What is the panel's view on addressing such challenges? Would someone like to answer this?
So I'll try. So this, yes, I totally agree with Mr. Sunil Kulkarni's ask on this. This is very well given as an option to choose. and it doesn't actually mandate that this has to be covered this way, or this all has to be covered. As of now, the topics has been suggested. These are all the suggested topics by the regulator or by the authority on this, right? So the suggestions are something which obviously we can choose to prioritize things, that what we want, what are the kind of threats which the organization or the people are exposed to, and then it becomes the CISO's program on this awareness, working with maybe the subject matter experts on defining how it has to be calendarized on this one. The reporting part today, what I see is these all are subject to audit. That is what I see when it is coming from the regulator point of view. Obviously, when there is an audit, this is very well going to be covered. Maybe on the effectiveness, I don't think there is any control today on the regulator which mentions about it. So coming from the IRDAI's perspective, I don't see any control which specifies how are you going to measure the effectiveness. That specific control is not there. Ask her to control. But from the risk perspective, again it becomes the CISO's point of view, that how we are going to measure the risk. But reporting is not there. But these all are subject to audits.
Thank you, Nagraj. Sunil, I hope you have got a good response, and you know what direction should be taken for this. There's one more interesting question which is linked to what we are talking. It's from Nitin. It says that as month of cyber security awareness, many organizations are conducting session, but do we have any mandatory clause or regulatory requirement in our IT Act or upcoming draft policy? I guess it is about the privacy policy which is being referred, which can help to drive through the management. So what is it that can be done so that you get a better buy-in from the management? I guess that is the question. Can someone take this up, please?
Bhavin, I'll address this. So when I say security training as a mandatory clause, so if you see, all the regulations, right? I'm not sure about the Indian IT Act. Primarily, it is more towards the, having the controls implemented, okay, to secure the data and the digital, assets. So, but if you see from the RBI perspective, refer, Gopal Krishnan Working Committee Guidelines of 2011 or RBI Framework, Cyber Security Framework of 2016. If you refer NBFC June 2017 for NBFCs, or HFC NHB Guidelines of 2018 June, as well as our SEBI Cyber Security Framework for 2018 December, all talk about the awareness as a mandatory, right? So you need to review your awareness. You need to, ensure that awareness is an ongoing exercise. And, also RBI also talks to, you need to make your top management aware. So it's an important clause. One should, refer this, and, for the regulated organizations, okay, to use this, as a step forward to enhance the awareness. That is one part. And I'm sure in the cyber security policy, which is upcoming, as well as our Data Protection Act, awareness it's part of that, to make, users aware on the privacy part. I'm not sure from the Indian IT Act perspective, whether it's 2000 or 2008, it's not clearly mentioned there. However, the other regulations, which are primarily, be it IRDAI, be it SEBI, NHB, RBI, everyone talks about the cyber awareness. So it has actually become a mandatory for every organization to train their staff. That is primarily my feedback. And I'm sure, Nitin, I answer your part, to some extent. Thanks, Bhavin.
So Bhavin, I just wanted to add to what you mentioned. And I'll give you, tell Nitin with an example. Especially in a small organization, which are controlled, more driven by the promoters. And I give you the example is a real life example of which came across to me. Now, everybody, all of us have used Wi-Fi in our offices. Now, any large organization would have put a lot of controls to ensure that Wi-Fi is protected. Signals are not going. A lot of checks and balances would have been. But a typical small organization would have put a simple Wi-Fi, and they would have been using open with a simple open username password, which is easy to hack. Now, what happened is that, so there was an article in a news, this thing, which said that the promoter of the company was behind the bar because the Wi-Fi was used to attack on some other organization. Now, when this news was out, when this promoter read this news, next day in the morning he calls up his IT head and he says, "Hey, what is our situation? Are we all, I think we are also in a similar situation. Please ensure that we put all necessary equipment in place to avoid such thing in our organization." Now, I mean, till this news was in the market, the same promoter was not willing to spend money on protecting the Wi-Fi, and his IT head was struggling. So I hope, Nitin, so the message to you is that if you are able to convey to the management the business risk of not protecting, not doing such kind of thing, it may be easy to get a buy-in of the management, is what I'm trying to put it across.
Exactly. Adding to Anandji, see, information security is a never-ending journey. Awareness programs are never-ending journey. People keep coming, people keep going. What the policies you have in your organizations, like information security policy, or you are following any kind of compliances like GDPR, ISO 27001, so on, you must have your information security policies. So how you will make ensure that the people are aware about these policies? Definitely through these security programs, awareness programs. And what I believe, that any act or any clause is not required to make our people aware about these kind of awareness, information security awareness programs. So it should be the culture of the organization. It should come from the top to bottom, from top management to end users. That's I want to add it.
Thanks, Anandji. Thanks, Balwant. I guess the question has been responded very well. One more interesting question, which I am seeing, which has been put up by Kanishka Khatri. It says, considering different methodologies to spreading awareness, if still there are individuals who score low, what innovative technique you have experienced, seen, which could deal with such a challenge? Even the CJD directive from the government, it does talk about the star of the month, where it says that who are your star employees who have been very vigilant, you need to recognize them. Obviously, it does not talk specifically about what happens to the employees who do not respond that well to whatever awareness you're trying to do. So a very interesting question. Would like to someone respond to this?
So I'll just quickly
Go ahead.
No, I was only saying that I think it's a challenge. I mean, in any organization, you would have some low scorer or high scorer. But I think as the problem comes, there are solution also comes along with it. So one of the solution which many organizations have, including Progist also have, is that when you run a phishing awareness campaign, and when you find that some people are low on scoring, you immediately take them to a learning portal where where first you make them aware of that what should have been done in a situation, then ask certain questions, and unless and until employee clears that kind of quizzes, you remain that, and that the responses and the marks and everything is available with HR also. Now that is something which helps in terms of creating, and not only helps in creating awareness, it also helps in creating awarding the star of the employee. If somebody is passed with a high mark, you can say star of the month. At the same time, it gives an HR to know that which are my weak links, and I can what effort I need to put in to strengthen those links. Yeah, Bhavi.
Thank you, sir. Balwant, I saw you raising your hand. What we have done over here, trainings are mandatory for all employees, for all workforce, and we have aligned these programs with the KRA of the employees, right? So the more they will go for trainings, the more percentage they will do the trainings. Accordingly, some part of their KRA will be calculated by the year end. So this is how you can also, go for a successful security program.
Interesting
So
thought.
maybe
Yes,
from
Nagaraj, please go ahead.
my side, what I do is, so maybe on the simulated phishing attacks, when I keep seeing that, repeated, attempts of, somebody falling prey for this kind of, phishing. So those things I put it on the name of the head of the department and present it to the top management. So the head of the department become responsible for getting their awareness done.
I guess that's a very effective mechanism too. I'm sure it would work. I'm not sure if there's an issue with the network at my end, but I'm seeing the screen a little blurry. Nagaraj, are you done with your response?
Yes, I'm done.
All right. So anyone else would like to share some views about this? Because it's a very relevant topic. How do you deal with the employees who do not, take up the awareness courses which you're trying to push to them, and they are low scorers? Do you have any other take on that? What is it that you can do about that?
In the past, just to want to share the experience, in the past, we went ahead and, delayed the salaries also. Okay. And other also, we have blocked the system access. Okay. For some, time, when they did not complete the, awareness or, the repeater offenders, especially in the email phishing simulation exercise, because the threats were increasing. And as an organization, we were very worried about the ransomware coming into our network. Okay, because if user fails, we can see a very big attack. And we have seen in the past with many organizations, one small incident and it jeopardized. So this was done with the support from the top management. After they took the call, as a CISO, we never decide on the disciplinary action. We leave it to the HR and the top management of the organization, because we always want to be good books. So we always inform the users that CISO is just a risk highlighter, risk assessor. We don't take the action, and action is clearly decided by the HR and the top management. So Bhavin, that is one of the feedback I would like to share. Thanks.
Yeah, that's quite a strong step, I would say, which was planned. Not something which will be very popular amongst the employees, but nevertheless, depending on the risk that your organization is, some of these steps might be relevant. So there's nothing right or wrong. It depends on the threat landscape and the organization's culture, which I would say is important to know before such kind of plans which are set up. So I think we are running out of time. We had some excellent views from the panelists. We had some great questions coming in from the attendees. I'd like to thank all of them for that. Any closing one-line statements from all of you in terms of what is it that we need to do to achieve the cyber hygiene that the government is expecting us? A very 1 minute, a very one-liner closure comment from each one of you would be great.
If I can add, I would say, CISOs and the security professionals, don't give up.
Good. Thank you.
So Bhavin, I would like to add a line over here. See, in past, security used to be, an inconvenience before pandemic. Now it has become a necessity at all the times in our professional life as well as personal life.
Excellent. Makes sense.
And it's a continuous process, right? It's continuous awareness, continuous learning based on the changing threat landscape. So never stop, right? Keep on learning, keep on doing new stuffs, right? So that's important.
Thank you, Anish. Shankar, your
So I
take.
would
Anand sir, please.
No, I was only saying that moving times have gone when it is used to be organization or CISO or regulator secret. It is now at the time it's my secret, my responsibility.
Really agree. Yes. Shankar, your take.
So I see, Bhavin, security is now playing more in a role of a business enabler, right? Not just a block. However, we also help organization to meet its objectives, right? Many of the audits we have helped organization to clear with flying colors, and that has resulted to huge investments coming in, because most of your big investors, shareholders, they will not invest if they feel the organization have loosened their controls or not up to the mark, especially the banks and or the other investors we deal as a BFSI. So we play a role of the business enabler, and I'm sure every panelist very well shared that it's an important journey, and one should not be stressed out, and let's face this challenge with good heart, and I'm sure we'll be successful, at least try to be successful all the time, and up and downs will keep coming for every organization, for every individual, be it family or be it at personal level or professional level. Thanks, Bhavin.
Very well summarized. Thank you, all the panelists. It was wonderful to have you here. I'm sure the attendees, they had a great time. I think it's a new area, challenging area, but nevertheless, I think we would all be able to manage. So with that, I would like to conclude the session, and I would like to hand it over to my colleague Priyanka. Priyanka, take it away from here. Thank you. Thank you.
I would just like to add here that we at Projust are helping organizations achieve the MHA mandate on Cyber Jagrukta Divas related initiative with continuous awareness in form of infographics, videos, posters, wallpapers, interactive modules, and games. So please feel free to reach out to us at projust.net or write to us at info@projust.net in case you require our assistance in the same. Thank you all the panelists for the insights on Cyber Jagrukta and importance of cybersecurity awareness. We will be announcing the lucky draw winners on our LinkedIn page, and we will also send out an email individually to all the winners. So once again, I would like to thank all the panelists for answering the questions and for the great session. It was a pleasure to have you all with us. So this concludes the webinar. Thank you all for attending. We hope you have learned and enjoyed this session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Bhavin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.